Hello, my listeners, I'm trying to reach the prisoners. Tell America, you will stick your black fist in her through black businesses. Learn the truth about our differences, mental enslavement, and Willie Lynch, which is hello, my listeners, I'm trying to reach the prisoners. Tell America, you will stick your black fist in her through black businesses. Learn the truth about our differences, mental enslavement, and Willie Lynch. To my brothers, I speak because I know that you lost. This is history in the making. You are living a Holocaust. Just turn your TV on. You see it's okay to kill us all. If you don't free your mind, our children can't grow strong. Cops don't protect us. They hunt us. Disease infect us. Senseless how that beat could kill us off and keep its tension. Did I mention? You can't trust all reference. How can I preaching to me about a whole white heaven? In my news at 11 systematically shows my aggression. When I suggest this, they claim that I'm rebelling, but this is true expression. You can't sugarcoat oppression. Throw my black fist in the air, turn my mind into a weapon. To the brothers, I say, yo, do the knowledge with the shorties. That's why I had this country being run by the shorties. America the beautiful, built on the back of the slave. They ain't no black in the flag, though we fought what they added. I'm called militant. When I choose to shoot down ignorance, progression of my people is imminent. So I'm with this shit, just a regular man, humble by all means. Like, yo, I hit the club, but damn, I still read. To free the mind that lives inside, you can't see. You might have to store weapons in water, they can't see. Camps of concentration being built with no complication. Fuck Ronald Reagan, he put crack in my ghetto nation. Fuck Daddy Bush, he cooked it up, rocking the apron. Fuck Little Bush, fall out when the plane's devastation. Of course we rule the world first. We were bred for strength. That's why we don't rule shit else. We weren't bred for sin. Treated like animals by slave owner, homosexual cannibals that rent and rage here at games. Like I'm saying to you, they'll call me a racist, but the black community is the only one in this nation still racially segregated. But they turn around, say there's no truth in what I'm complaining. Well, if you doubt indeed brain, fuck you, you probably racist. Take that to your church, mosque, in your synagogue. Black power. Amen.
Everything that's in your community that you don't control is a weapon against you. Public education as it exists today is a weapon against black people. TV and news media, especially the WPP, white power press, white people's paper, and white people's power are enemies against black people. That's what the white press does, is that it makes black people an enemy of black people.
It's a new day, open my eyes, smell in the morning mist, on a bitch, stretching my legs, thick in the morning piss, hit my grill, get my head right, torch in the morning split, stress around in my cycle, still I feel fortunate, saw resistance, the young and falls and get up again, feel like I'm UEP at war with the government, till I boil the mothership, I'm forced in a dungeon pit, I ride for my tribe, you know the poor and the suffering, life's a series of choices for wars and the punishment, smoking heavily, sipping Henny and coke remedy, took the death of my enemies, open the penitentiary, something I never see, but destiny took its course, never shown remorse, steady holding the fort, had to focus my thoughts in the road with the fork, so I chose my course, never took no shorts, in the world with a strong rule and swallow the frail, I decided to make it back instead of following trails, and poverty hell, gotta buy the knowledge itself, like Jonathan Jackson's brother, I'ma ride to the end, remain true, fighting oppression, new methods of promise, I'm that voice to the people that can never be silenced, no countless alibis, on the track I ride, ready to die, take a look, see the hell in my eyes, meditating, elevating, breath filling my lungs, 6 million tons on my back, I run, I saddle the weight, riding on a saddle of hate, I battle the snake, stop them while they rattle and shake, travel the state, men in black trying to catch my face, but like the mist evaporate, no track, no trace, black mask with a Mac in my waist, and I ain't coming for the stash, I came for the cash in the safe, so make it happen on your ass until the rap for 8, reality bombs, your old style, rapping and fake, rapping talk about stuff that never touched in their life, man, I show you what the struggle is like, Chase Black never frontin' his life, 5th grade used to tuck in his knife, and bust your lip for a stuff in his mic, it's only right I keep it real when I'm clutching his mic, so if it's beef, go for 10, suck the dump on sight, wow!
Queen, the illustrious and honorable Renee Black of the illustrious and warrior platform, The Rundown with Renee, and also the CEO of the finest graphics in the union. Yeah, Renee Black Graphics is the best in the business. That phone number to call in, 515-605-9360. Again, 515-605-9360. Press 1 with your questions or your comments. It becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some and present to others our illustrious co-host and co-founder of Black Psychology Monday. I speak of none other than the warrior queen herself. Renee Black is in the building. Unmuted.
Hey.
Peace.
I just came in. I was walking around here trying to find my freaking charger and everything. But peace. What's up, Brother Knowledge? I do have Brother Psycho on my line, and yeah, we're on YouTube and all that good stuff.
Drop these Jersey bombs for Psycho, man, right here, man.
Oh, man, that's what's up.
Peace, Brother Knowledge. Black Power. What's going on? You know, we up here live streaming on my channel. For those who don't know, I'm on YouTube, Psychopatheist. That's SYKOPATHEIST, Psychopatheist. But yeah, what's good, Knowledge?
I'm good, man. I'm proud. I'm honest. You know what I mean? I'm inspired. I'm motivated. You know, I'm on my two favorite. Shout out to you listening to audience. I'm honest on that. You know, Summer Jam screen. You know what I mean? And I ain't got no ballerina outfit on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm good. You know.
That's what's up.
It's Black Psychology Monday, man. Did you say she was gonna call in or not, man?
What'd you say?
Did that lady you was gonna call in or not? The elder on last night.
You was breaking up. I couldn't make out everything you
you
said.
talking to me? Yeah, you kind of sound a little bit low knowledge. It was kind of breaking up too. You talking about the lady last night, Susanna, or you know her name. I think she was, but she may pop. I don't know. She may pop up in the chat. I haven't looked in the chat yet.
Oh, you talking about Juicy? Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll come in the chat. I'm sure.
Well, right. Well, I told Knowledge that I need a minute. I gotta get my freaking charger. So if y'all want to start, or if Knowledge you want to start, then I'll come in, or you know, however you want to do this. But I'm listening, and yeah, I'll talk to you for the moment.
You know, even better now?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to get this thing together. Just doing a little tripping just now with this direct connect function. So I want to make sure that is good. We're good with that.
Yeah, you sound better now.
We're here on tonight to discuss, you know, kind of like an open mic type of situation. You know, y'all know y'all the best at the open mic type of thing, you know what I mean? So, but the topic is surrounding that, you know, self-hatred as it's being displayed, you know, mass media manipulation. So we look at things that's been happening lately. You know, Dr. Amos Wilson speaks about the criminalization in media in regards to how they have to make our youth look, see, to portray our youth in a certain type of manner, you know, as criminal. So now you're dealing with a generation, because if you say black youth are criminals, they have parents. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, in criminology, you know, they talk about being predisposed to crime in regards to if your father was a criminal, then you're a criminal. And if we look at the criminality that's been attached to our people ever since the criminals brought us here, we can definitely use that spirit of discernment to see of the misrepresentation in the first place. And the most powerful tool of misrepresentation happens to be in the media. And there was no distinction that was given in the Blueprint for Black Power in regards to white media versus black media. You know, both have been outlined as equally detrimental to the representation or the misrepresentation of our people in regards to media. So, you know, if you had any thoughts you wanted to share on that, or anything you wanted to talk about on that side, but we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. You was talking about the psychological aspects of media on our people.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely. I always hold the position that you know, media plays a huge part on psychological warfare on our people, because you know, the imagery is everything to our people. You know, we idolize things, personality worship and everything else, you know, based off solely off imagery. And you know, because they can take somebody, let's say a average athlete, right? Somebody who's probably not even, I know we probably going to touch on this a little bit later too, but you know, I'm just using this as an example. You could take like an average athlete who's probably not who's borderline all-star, maybe not that great though, and you know, they can present him and they can package him in a way to fool you into believing that he's actually a better player than he actually is. You know, and you know, because the way it's packaged. You know, and that's what white supremacy is really good at doing, is packaging certain things a certain type of way, and have you believing things there that really aren't there. You know, it's like a Jedi mind trick. Like again, going back to the athletes, you got like a Tim Tebow, who really wasn't that great, but the way they packaged him, they had you thinking he was all world. You know, they had you thinking he was about to be a Hall of Famer, when that was so not the case. But it was the way he was packaged. You know, that's pretty much what people just want to see. You know, they don't like to open up that book and read it. They rather look at the cover, and if the cover looks interesting, they'll subscribe to that book. But if the cover don't look interesting, they don't care. They don't want to open it up. They don't want to read it. You know, and it's all about branding and everything. And Europeans have mastered this. You know, they teach classes on this, on how to psychologically get you know, manipulate people's way of thinking. It's certain ways they do food commercials just to try to gravitate and grab you at the right perfect time, and they you know, they present these dishes and everything, these sandwiches and all this. The food isn't even real. It's fake food. You know, it's you can't even really eat the stuff that they showing to you, but it looks a certain type of way that it grabs you. It's certain colors that Europeans tell you to use at certain times, like, you know, certain colors connect with people a certain type of way. You know, red brings a certain emotion out of people or whatever, blue and green and all these other colors, like, and they psychoanalyze all these things, and they manipulate and they use these tools to try to, you know, pretty much play with your mind. You know, and so this is like, Europeans, you got to watch them, because they they sly foxes. They really sly foxes. They will do stuff right in your face, and they magicians. They're illusionists. They will do stuff right in your face and sleight of hand. You won't even realize what it is they're really doing until it's probably too late. But yeah, so definitely media plays a huge role in how our people think, you know, giving them the illusion of inclusion and having them thinking that, you know, pretty much we all living in this great kumbaya state, which we all see and know in our heart of hearts is not true.
Definitely. And, you know, like I was speaking on later in the conversation last night, in regards to the TV shows, you know, most definitely the TV shows we grew up watching, you know what I mean? And we might, from the appearance of it, call it a black show. You know, we might have looked at Sanford and Son as a black show. We might have looked at Good Times as a black show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We might have looked at, you know, in shows of the like, what's happening, you know, as a black show. You know what I mean? And they weren't black shows. You know, there were white shows in blackface. You see what I'm saying? So the same thing happens in regards to black media that, you know, Dr. Amos Wilson speaks about on page 234 of Blueprint for Black Power. You know, it says the black media, white media and blackface. The most popular black media productions is an example of Ebony, you know, Emerge, Black Enterprise, Essence, Upscale, and other similar magazines. The black radio stations and television programs feature black-oriented formats and have in large measure been victimized by their very success. So, you know, just looking at it, you know, we might think from the cover, just like you were speaking about, you know, from the cover or from the external look, we might say, oh, okay, you know, this is a black show. You see what I'm saying? Like, we would look at In Living Color and say, hey, this is a black show. This was, you know, made by the Wayans brothers. When you start looking at the credits in the place where you get credit, you start to do an investigation to see, you know, who's really behind all of these things that are going on. You know, we might look at somebody like Paul Mooney and say, hey, you know, Paul Mooney made, you know, the brothers, and he made the character, you know, Homie the Clown. But, you know, just think about everything else that went on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything else that went on the show. And, you know, a lot of those things that they popularized. And like I was giving the example yesterday, you know, Mabel Williams, you know, as far as her stand-up, if you heard in her stand-up, you know exactly what I mean. And then, you know, they would present her as the, you know, religious heretic on the show. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we were yet to see a complete family. And even the complete family we were on to see and later on the Cosby shows that was broadcast around the world, and to the point where they called Bill Cosby America's dad. You know, you would see that, you know, they were telling a fantasy. You see what I'm saying? Like during the crack era, you know, for a doctor and a lawyer to own a brownstone, and, you know, all of the children, you know, be kind of well-to-do from their parents. You see what I'm saying? Completely opposite from the life that we were living, and how bad, you know, the crack era had really ravished and destroyed our families and broken homes. And, you know, many of us grew up in public housing, you know, in tenements and the like. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we were watching something that was almost virtually impossible, you know, for us to, you know, and you know, the proper propaganda, something positive you could see to watch, but you could never, you know, connect that to your reality. You see what I'm saying? So it could further put you in a state of, you know, already oppressive state, but also, you know, a depressive state. You see what I'm saying? And feeding that, you know, false narrative about, hey, I need to be able to do this. You see, you got Gucci sweaters on, and, you know, all of that, you know, paintings up in the house, and, you know what I mean? Like, everybody had their own room almost. You know? So it was just like, it wasn't even nothing that was, you know, close to any, you know, type of ideal that most of us who grew up in the projects could ever even fathom. You know what I mean? It might be 10 or 11 people up in a 2-bedroom apartment. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that agony of wanting to try to get out. Or whatever, you know what I mean? All of these things were plagued, but those shows that were preceded would already show, you know, Florida Evans and James Evans living in Cabrini Green. see what I'm saying? That would show, you know, Lamont Sanford and Fred Sanford with no mother in the house. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They are junk people. You see what I'm saying? So their house, you know, would look like trash, and they were in business for themselves. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like there was all of these incomplete and inconsistencies, and you know they killed off James' character, and then you see what happened with the rest of the show. You know, you would look at, you know, what's happening. You know, the
mother left
Rod's
eventually
mother,
there too.
You know,
the mother left.
Right. Right. So like no complete families. You see what I'm saying? So they were speaking to us, you know, as in regards to how they viewed our experience, but they made us laugh at it. You see what I'm saying? So they would make it look as if, you know, these things were just a joke. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, they would have a rerun. They would have a JJ. They would have, you know what I mean? And the like in regards to these characters to try to steer your mind away from reality that you couldn't live. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, they had them, you know, on the Cosby Show, you know, doing certain things. So you're like, what? You see what I'm saying? So like, there were a lot of things that they tried to infuse into the show. You know, topics they wanted to talk around or speak to or whatever. But that was later on. You know, they kind of put safeguards in place, you know, for the more, kind of like a precursor for, you know, people trying to gain knowledge themselves. Like they kind of put those roadblocks there. Not really roadblocks, but like things on time release. So when your mind would, you know, graduate to look within, they would have something, you know, that your mind would have to struggle with. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, especially on The Living Color, you know, they would have, you know, Damon Wayans in the jail cell sounding like a buffoon, but that would prepare you for when you would learn. You see what I'm saying? So you would already be confronted with that image. You see, so your mind would already go back to that, like, oh, you sound like Sharif, or you sound like, you see what I'm saying? Like, all of those characters that they already made. Like, you know, there was an episode with Lamont, you know, when Lamont, you know, he told his father they got to stop eating pork, and, you know, he had the dashiki, and, you know, he got all of these, you know, African statues, so it was like a change and a transformation almost overnight, you know, within one episode. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, they played that to the left, you know, and then had the person, you know, kind of like, you know, condemn him for how he was trying to act. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was a whole bunch of little things that they were, you know, infusing into the joint in regards to, you know, shaping and molding our reality and self-actualization, how we see ourselves. You see what I'm saying? Through the eyes and lens of, you know, what we would think is black media, but, you know, black media in white face.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's interesting because, you know, we went from, and the funny thing is, Sanford and Son, Good Times, the Jeffersons, and everything else, they was all made and created by a European, a Jewish dude.
By the same group.
Yeah, the same dude made all three of those shows. Yeah, and so, you know, so we had little creative control over these shows. I think Sanford and Son had probably the most out of the three. I know Good Times had no creative control. That's why James Evans, John Amos, that's why he ended up leaving the show, because he didn't like the direction that they was taking the show. You know, he felt like they was focusing too much on JJ, and they had him up there cooning, and they didn't like, you know, the whole cooning aspect of JJ, and they felt like the show, because the show originally was supposed to be focused on the parents' struggle with the kids, and the show ended up becoming more about the kids being the star, and the parents was just secondary characters, and that wasn't what the show was supposed to have been originally when they agreed to do the show. So they argued the entire duration of that run of Good Times about the direction the show should go in, and you know, of course James ended up getting killed off because John Amos didn't. You know, they was complaining about money and direction and everything else, and eventually they just wrote him out the show altogether. And that's just like you said, that's when the show went to crap.
They didn't want him in the show in the first place.
Right.
You know, they didn't want him in the show in the first place. And the sister who played Florida Evans said she would not do a show without a husband.
Right. Exactly. So, you're absolutely right.
They wanted her to be there, you know, alone. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, John he was from where we from. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, that's a North cat. You know what I mean? He wasn't going for that. You know, he wasn't going for it. So, you know, he said Norman Leary had called him one day and said, "I got good news and bad news for you. You know, the show got picked up for a couple more seasons, but you dead in it. You know what I mean? Like you fired. You know what I mean? So,
they looked at him as a troublemaker. They looked at him as a troublemaker and everything else, and this, that, and third. So yeah, they pushed him out. And what's happening had similar issues. What's happening with Mabel and everything. They was bickering back and forth about the directions of the show and everything else, and she didn't like the fact that she didn't have a father around. This, that, and third. She didn't want, and they ended up going back and forth, and then she ended up leaving the show, and they ended up writing her out. They didn't kill her off, though. That's the difference. They didn't kill her off. They just made it seem like she just moved away for a while and she just never came back. Right. You know, that's kind of how they handled that situation. And then to go from those shows, and then we turn around and the next big black show we had, like, because, you know, the Jeffersons had a long run. Right. And yeah, they went over 10 years. I forgot exactly. It might have been 11 to 12 years they did, or something like that. They had a long run. Out of all the shows, they lasted the longest. They had the most episodes. And then we come into the Cosby Show era, which was, you know, I saw a comment in the chat asking, did people not know black people in the middle class? Yeah, we absolutely knew black middle class people and everything else. But what's the odds of having this black family living in Brooklyn, which they was living in Park Slope, and that is a decent area of Brooklyn, but still, one's a doctor and the other's a lawyer, and they have all these kids, and all these kids is in college and everything. Like, it just wasn't something that the average black person could relate to. The average black person is not relating to two parents, one being a doctor and the other being a lawyer, living in and they wasn't just middle class, that was kind of upper class a little bit, because them brownstones out in Park Slope is not cheap. Let me tell you, that's a little bit, like, that's a little bit beyond middle class almost, because like it costs money to stay out there. And like, again, they was close to the upper class, because you got a doctor and a lawyer, they both making 6 figures or better. So yeah, that's a little bit more than just middle class. And it's just unrealistic, man, you know, but that's what was presented to us. And, you know, it was a good show for the most part for what it, you know, for what it was. But I don't feel like they tackled enough real issues on that show. You know, Different World actually did a better job at tackling real issues, to be honest with you, the spinoff. The Cosby Show, they tackled, you know, but it was kind of like our version of the Brady Bunch almost. It had a Brady Bunch type feel to it. You feel me? Like, it wasn't a lot that people really could relate to up in there, because it didn't really touch bases with the lower class, the middle class. But maybe some of the middle class could relate to it. But again, that was more than just middle class. I didn't look at the Cosbys as middle class. I looked at them as upper class. You know, them and the Jeffersons, I looked at them as upper class. You know, like, so yeah, that's just me.
And I think there was kind of more character development than, you know, actually, you know, telling like a real story. You see what I'm saying? Like, they really got into more of that, because I think that was like one of the, you know, first opportunities where it was like 90% black. You see what I'm saying? The creative control was given to, you know, some of the people in regards to that development. But the same people who was on, what was that show? On the Bundy Show, was with the Cosby Show. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So A Different World was like a defining moment in regards to how the direction would change. The direction changed with, you know, having that true creative control with Debbie Allen and everybody, you know, going through all of the long. You see what I'm saying? You know, Debbie Allen, you know, back from Fame and all of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's just, you know, Pollyanna and, you know, all these other movies and, you know, these TV shows and things like that, but not under creative control like A Different World. Like that first season of A Different World, they start talking about everything, and they just continue to go. and you know, it was 98% black. Then they start introducing these other characters. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like Marissa Tomei and all of them people start coming into the joint after Lisa Bonet left the show. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it was just like this, you know, drip effect that went along. And, you know, Kadeem Hardison was, you know, became a focal point. And what's her name that played on Harlem Nights?
Jasmine Guy.
Yeah, Jasmine Guy. You know, and you know they started doing, you know, those types of things. But there was one of those reunion interviews that I saw with Kadeem Hardison. They showed like that scene from when him and Jasmine Guy were supposed to get married or whatever. That part, he said that they were all together backstage, and they said, you know, all of the older actors, because you know they had everybody in that junk. You know, Diane Carroll and you know all kind of people for that episode. And it was like, yo, y'all don't even know how good y'all got it. You know, this ain't never happened in all our years in the business. This has never happened. He's like, look around. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's black. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, so like it's basically telling them like, yo, y'all could do so much with it. You see, and you know, it never really kind of, you know, reached the pinnacle in the way that it was supposed to go. However, it gave rise to opportunities to people that they wind up destroying them, you know what I'm saying, basically after, you know, so like nobody really made it out of that situation later on unscathed. So, you know, it's the same thing when you're just talking about how they can make an average player look great, you see what I'm saying, and then, you know, they LeVar Odom, you know what I'm saying? They hit him up like that, like, and a lot of people suffer. Well, you know, some of them actors suffer. Like my man that played Cockroach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was never taken as a serious actor ever again. You know, like you know, once you present yourself like a buffoon, you're a buffoon forever. You know what I mean? There's only a few people that shook off that stigma. You know.
Well, he wasn't.
Like Eddie Murphy had to do his own.
He was a little bit of an idiot on the Cosby Show. He was a big time buffoon on Martin. You know, Martin, he was a big time buffoon.
Right.
Cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they wrote him in already like that. I think he was on Combat Jack's joint when he said he wanted to be Antoine Fisher in the movie, or his friend that was in Antoine Fisher. He said Denzel Washington came out and was like, "What you doing here?"
Yeah, he got typecast.
He's like, "What?" You know what I mean? Like so he's like, you know, so once they got you pegged as a clown, you were a clown. You see what I'm saying? You know, forever. And you know, again, that's the, you know,
I mean,
when we start to look at
what was Jimmy Walker's career after Good Times? It went to crap.
Right.
It went to crap. What about Urkel after Family Matters? What did his career go to after that? It went to crap. That was the highlight of his career. People still look at him now to this day. He tries to do other things, but everybody still see Urkel. Like it's Urkel. Like he, typecast.
Right. Yeah, and we would see that same type of situation in regards to the cast with the original mother who played Vivian on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know what I mean? With Will Smith. So it was crazy. Crazy type of situation that they had going on. You know, so all of these things, you know, kind of led up from that whole genealogy. Go ahead, Sister Renee.
Yeah, no, I was listening to y'all break it down, and y'all on point. But let's bring it a little bit more into today's time. And, you know, some of the things that's going on. But I didn't want to cut you off or anything. Go ahead, Brother Knowledge.
You're already in there now. You know what I'm saying? You might as well, you know, start bringing some of that Renee heat, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. So I got my charger. We almost had disaster. I'm like, where the heck is my charger? But we got all that together. Yeah, and so, yeah, I'm back and everything, but I've been listening. Listening to y'all kind of break down like a lot of the shows and different things. I wanted to kind of go into some of the things that we had on the flyer. And if you haven't seen the flyer for tonight, you know, Black Psychology Monday, we do this every first Monday of the month. And the topics listed on there, because it is kind of like open topic night, relationships, colorism, racial code, current events, the NFL, etc. Man, I wanted to kind of touch on some of those things if y'all wanted to as well. I think I wanted to really touch on the NFL.
Okay.
And I feel like with that whole situation, it represents a lot. Now, let me put some people on the spot right now. Is anybody watching the NFL?
Yeah, I have been watching a little bit. I've only watched my team, and that was it. Like it's a game on right now that I'm not watching. So yeah, like I haven't watched like I used to, and I haven't spent one dime on the NFL this year, not one. And I normally spend money on the NFL every year, not this year.
Okay, so I had to put Psycho on the spot. What about you, Knowledge? And what about people in the chat room?
Yeah, you know, ever since that Confederate flag type of situation when I was growing up, I ain't really seen
that's right.
Ever since. Yeah, so,
Yeah, you did
just
talk
like
about
years
that.
and years in the making. I'm cool. I'm cool.
Okay.
I didn't need Kaepernick. I didn't need Kaepernick for that. I can't get
I
the
hear
props
you.
for that.
But, you know, I want you to throw that out there because I cannot remember who I was listening to, but somebody was saying that they said people done went back to watching. You feel me? And I understand that it can be, you know, it can be a form of relaxation for some people, or, you know, a lot of people may have played sports or whatever. They like the physicality or the competitive part of it. Like, I get that. But I was just thinking in terms of the overall picture and what all of this represented. And I was looking like, damn, you know, they got these Negroes in check. They got these $1 million Negroes, $1 million slaves.
Yeah.
They have them in check like a mug. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it comes to the point of, what does this represent for the larger black community? When you have the black men, black people in the you know, who are black, as I said, black people who are black, but black folk, okay, who have a higher income, okay, than damn near 90% of black people, okay, and they're making a certain amount, and they are even unwilling to challenge white supremacy. They are even unwilling to stand on their square and say, you know what, we sitting up here talking about some damn breast cancer, and that's no fight against breast cancer, but let's keep it fun. This damn Susan G. Komen has raised, I don't know how many, probably damn near billions of dollars by now, okay? And people are constantly donating. It's constantly everywhere in October, and they put it even in the damn NFL. So you mean to tell me these are men, and yes, men can get breast cancer, okay? Nobody's saying men can't. But when you look at the numbers, you know, overwhelmingly, it's women. It's quite rare for men to get breast cancer. So then why is a sport played by men? Why is this what they're touting? Why is this what they're representing? If you look at it, what affects men more, specifically black men, is what they have to go through with violence in the community, what they have to go through with police brutality, what they have to go through with mass incarceration. So therefore, why isn't that something that they are able to talk about and promote and put out there, that they're not standing for this? And it's like, you know, they're able just to put us in check so quick. So the message it sends to the average, in my opinion, the average young brother, the average young black boy is that, you know what, even if you're making big money, you still can't call shots. Even if you're making big money, you still got to get in line and do what the white man wants you to do. Even if you're making big money, you can't bug back. The only people you can bug back against are other black people. But when it comes to white folks, you better shut up, you better fall in line. So when you have somebody like a Jerry Jones who's able to come out and say what he said, and you have black men on the Cowboys, which, you know, they did just beat us. I didn't watch the game, but I seen the that they beat us or whatever. But anyway, you have brothers on that team who's shaking in their boots. They not gonna push back against no damn Jerry Jones. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes like, what is this? What are we doing? What are we doing in this country? We're being annihilated, y'all, whether people want to accept that or not. And the people who have means are the ones who seem the most fearful. Mm-hmm. The ones who supposedly have more access to resources are the most fearful. Why is it that people literally laugh when it's talked about that we should have our own NFL or sports league? Why is that a joke? That's not a joke. Why is it that we need them to do everything? And so when I'm just looking at how this season has gone and how kind of like over time, you know, it's kind of dwindled down. People are just kind of going back into the same routine. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta, as a people, we gotta learn to stand strong on our principles and on our squares. You feel me? Because they know that they can get to us with these little frivolous things, and we'll buy it. We'll go for it. Mm-hmm. So it's just really sad to me to see a lot of the NFL players who've fallen in line with what's being said. It's some brothers who are continuing, you know, their protests, their peaceful protests, or what have you. But it's a lot who basically has backed up. And then even in the NBA, they're not doing it. And I'm like, what? Mind you, these are two organizations, how you want to put it, that are predominantly black male. I think they're both around 70% black men, I believe, for both. I think the NBA is a little higher than the NFL.
Yes.
But they're both like around there.
The NFL is at 70%. The NBA is closer to like 90.
Okay. So yeah, you know, these are both overwhelmingly black men who are in these two organizations or whatever, these two sports leagues, and it's like we can't even run anything but that. So I just kind of wanted to speak to that because the NFL thing has kind of died down some more. There's been more things that have happened. You know, a lot of these shootings and all this kind of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But I just kind of wanted to bring that back up to the forefront for a minute. That this is not over. We're continuing to die every day. Unarmed black men, women, and children. We are continuing to be harassed in our communities by police who are supposed to protect and serve, who our tax dollars are going to. And it's, you know, constantly the narrative is being switched up. That's why we have to tell our own stories. Because when you listen to these other media outlets and things, they don't talk about the real issues and the reasons why a lot of brothers, like the brother Beast Mode and others, were not standing for the national anthem. They don't want to talk about why. Okay, they want to project their narrative onto it about this damn patriotism and disrespecting the military and the flag, and all of that is bullcrap. All of that is deflection, so they don't have to deal with the real issue. And then you had these damn coons like that damn Ray Lewis out there who got on both knees, and he slapped black folk in the face once again because he said he got on both knees to pray. See how he did that?
Yep.
So he pretended to be out there that he was in solidarity with the other brother, okay? Mm-hmm. But once he got on his knees, and then it was something that, I was praying to my God. It became about his God, see? Yeah. But in the moment, he fooled those brothers, I guess, some of them, maybe some of them not, but he fooled some of those brothers into thinking, okay, he's down here, whatever the case may be. But then, of course, on the flip side, it's like, now I was praying to my God. I'm not getting on no knee with these damn niggas.
Yeah.
I know I got to uphold this white man at the end of the day, so hell no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, you already know my opinion about Ray Lewis. That whole fiasco was a joke. You already know my feelings about the whole knee thing. I don't even like the whole knee thing as a whole, because people are going to brush it off as I'm kneeing and I'm praying to my God and everything else, this, that, and not to mention, grown men should not be on their knees unless they're doing work around the house or something like that, or whatever the case may be. You should not be on your knees. That is a submissive position. You're bowing. What are you bowing down to? Like,
right.
No. You either sit down or you stand up and you turn your back to the flag. Those are the only two lines of protest for that flag or that national anthem that I will accept. I'm not accepting the knee thing. The knee thing is kind of is a joke. It wasn't even our idea. This was white people telling us how we can protest to make them feel more comfortable. This will make me feel more comfortable with your protest if you happen to get on your knee instead of sitting down. Well, who cares if you're comfortable? We protesting. Where is it written that protest is supposed to make people feel comfortable? Then how are you really protesting then? You're not supposed to make people feel comfortable if you're protesting. You're supposed to do something to make them feel uncomfortable. That's not how it works. Like, I don't understand. Like, when this country was founded by the quote-unquote forefathers and all this other crap, well, did they say, oh, well, what's the nice way for us to tell the Queen that we don't want to pay these taxes anymore? Maybe we should we throw it? Would it be okay if we happen to throw this tea over the boat and into the ocean? Do you think that's a nice way of protesting? Like, did they ask them, or did they sneak their asses up on the boat and threw all the tea overboard? Like, how does this work? Like, what are we doing here? Why we always got to compromise? We always got to be the people that compromise. I'm sick of it. We always got to be the people that take the high road. If we don't take the high road, then we're viewed as a bad guy. You know what? I don't even care anymore. Call me the bad guy. That's right. I'm black. I love the color black. Give me the hat. I'll wear the black hat. It don't bother me none. I'm sick of it. I don't care about their feelings. I'm done with them. I don't care about their feelings.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. And I just want to say this real quick, because I just looked at some of the comments in the chat room, and I see Kansu, Brother Kansu, peace to Kansu. But I see him in here, excuse me, I see him in here talking about perfume companies who are just as racist as the NFL. Are we boycotting makeup companies, beauty companies, et cetera, et cetera? See, right there, that's a problem for me. That's frustrating to me on certain levels, because to me, that's a deflection. If we're talking specifically about the NFL and the fact that the NFL has over 70% black men, okay, who are in this field, black men of means, more means resource-wise than the average black person for sure. And the fact that these brothers feel like we are being vilified, we are being harassed and brutalized and killed unarmed all across this country for being black. And the fact that these brothers decided, you know, hey, I'm not going to stand for the national anthem, because that's not real. There's no freedom and justice for all. That's not true. So therefore, I'm going to play the game. Yeah, I'm here to play the game and do my job, but I'm just not going to stand for that national anthem. I don't see the problem in that, and I don't see why that has to become a deflection. I don't see why that then has to become about, well, what about the beauty companies? And we're talking specifically about the NFL or the sports arena and the fact that black men who decided I would not stand for the national anthem, that can, you know, go across the country. I don't stand for it either. So, and when you're talking about, I guess we should boycott this and boycott that, hey, go for it. But again, that should never be from where this initial thing began and what it was about. And see, with stuff like that, what he's kind of bringing up, that's how we get away from the real point. That's how things, get conflated, and that's how, people can muddy the waters. Because, well, then we should boycott everybody. And then, listen, that was not the original situation. Let's deal with that. Now, once we want to deal with boycotting other things, we can expound to that. We can address that. We can deal with that. We can maybe build on it and come up with something. But in this time, the point is the NFL. In this time, the point is the brothers who decided I would not stand for this anthem that says freedom and justice for all. On top of that, an anthem, which we know the third part of it, was talking about the slaves and all of these other things. And the person who wrote it was a damn slave master. But anyway, anywho, that's what the point of it was. So I just want to say that to Kansu, and I feel like that's a deflection, and that's how we get away from dealing with things that we could deal with specifically. This was about the NFL and not standing for the national anthem. It wasn't about beauty companies and perfume companies.
Knowledge, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I see Console in the queue.
Yeah, Brother Consul, call in.
It is not a deflection. Standing for the anthem was a contract agreement. No, it wasn't. There was nothing in any NFL contract that these people must stand for the national anthem. They're
actually, it's not.
Game.
Yeah, actually.
And standing or not standing.
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say, actually, yeah, it's not in their contract. Actually, Consul, they don't have that in the contract. That's one of the things that the Players Association is fighting against. So that's why Colin Kaepernick is filing for the collusion case in the courts or whatever, because that's not in the contract. It's nowhere in the contract stating that they have to stand up for the national anthem. If it was, this probably wouldn't be an issue, because then they'll be in breach of their contract. But that's why they can't say certain things like, well, if somebody doesn't stand, then they fired. They can't say that. Jerry Jones has came out and said that a person won't play if they ain't stand up, which is out. That's even left field. But that's something that the teams, they let teams allow them to discipline their players how they want or whatever, as far as like that little things, whatever. But no, it's not in any of their contracts that they have to stand for the national anthem. It's not in the CBA or nothing.
Yeah, can I, let's go to Consul.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Now it would be so laid back. I'd be like, where's all of this going on?
Yeah, I just, I don't want it to be taken out of context because he texts in and it's live. You can only say so much on YouTube. I didn't want to diatribe. What I meant by contraction, I meant for the NFL. They started in 2009 to have players even on the field. The players didn't even used to be on the field until after 2009. It was part of an advertising campaign for the military.
Right.
As they wanted to promote the military. And the players, under the media contract, it wasn't directly directed that they stand, but they address the press, and they are open to the NFL's marketing products. And that doesn't mean that the players have to stand. They don't.
No.
They actually don't. I think that
it's
a shame what happened with Colin Kaepernick. So let me say this. I want to say this clearly, that I'm an economist. I've been publicly teaching on economy for a very long time. I was just on Knowledge Born show. My thing is, I wish that the NFL, the NBA, soccer internationally, because a lot of us play soccer internationally across the world, I wish they'd just walk out and start their own league. They got the money to do it per capita, but they're not economically educated because we don't like economics. We like love and hip-hop and drama. If I did a show on love and hip-hop or talking about somebody in the conscious community, then I probably have 1,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't have economic education, then you got rich ball players that are ignorant. they're literally ignorant to a lot of things. They're living a regular life. They say their prayers. They go to work. It's called a job. If you can convince that football player that $1 million salary, they need to walk away from that salary and just stand outside and protest, then good luck to you. So when you are economically impoverished and only 2% of black people even make it to the NFL, then you're looking at people living their dreams. So they have to be re-educated to that. It's not that simple. That's a false dichotomy. So they can just say, you know what, I'm out of here. So it's a different situation that we're dealing with. It's not that cut and dry, and we got to help each other. Them players and those people need help to even understand, to begin to even understand the magnitude of what's going on. These players have played football their whole life.
Can I ask a question real quick, Council?
We talk about money. So
we got 70%. Yeah, we got 70% of the NFL that's black. If all 70% of those players all said it all just took a seat for the national anthem, what would the NFL do then?
They'd be out of business. For black people, I've built 10 credit unions across the country. If I, brother psychopath, I did a show on building banks, I get 20 listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I did it on Knowledge God. I did it. My brother, I did it on Knowledge Born Show. It's recorded.
Mm-hmm.
No response because it's not sensationalism. It's not socialism. It's not get mad scholarship. Because we like to be angry and pop our fists. It feels real good. And then we go back to work Monday morning. If you ask everybody that's listening, how many don't work for a racist, I wonder what they would say. And they know they can't leave because the white supremacy is systematic. They can't just walk off their job. That applies to the NFL. It's a job.
But see, this is my problem with that. First of all, let me say that as far as the NFL, you had the President of the United States of America call these brothers sons of, excuse my French, sons of bitches.
Right.
He got on, of course, the national stage. Hello, international. He's the president, right? And he made it his business to stick his big orange nose in this whole NFL thing. Mind you, you got North Korea, you got all the other issues that are going on here in this country, economically, et cetera, et cetera. But he chose to place himself in the middle of that and say, and call these brothers, mothers, bitches. That's what that was doing. Mm-hmm. And he knows directly he's talking about black men. We know this. Who else are you talking about? Who was protesting? And what were they protesting for?
Right.
So when you have something like that happens, that's major. That's major. So at what point does it become about a level of integrity, a level of self-respect, a level of self-decency, where this is on an international stage that you're being called, your mama's being called a bitch.
Yeah, that's my, yeah.
And y'all still go out there and do this. You look at the Clippers and what happened with the Donald Sterling thing. These dudes went to their protest was to turn their shirts inside out. Mm-hmm. It looks lame. This is one of the problems to why this is one of the problems I think that really hinders us. It's because a lot of people have gotten so comfortable within this whole paradigm. So it's like just being a comfortable slave. So again, you see the little memes that have gone around for years saying some people don't want liberation, they just want a more comfortable position in white supremacy.
Right.
And so that's basically what it is for a lot of people, because at what point are these, and specifically with this, at what point are these black men going to operate on integrity and self-respect? When you have that they've been shut down by the President of the United States calling a mama a bitch. He didn't call the terrorists a big bitches. He didn't refer to the dude who drove a car and killed that white heifer or whatever. He didn't talk about the other terrorist that had shot up in Las Vegas at that time. He didn't call him no damn sons of bitches. Mm-hmm. He didn't call their mama a bitch. But you call these athletes a bitch.
And
Wait, hold on. Let me just finish this real quick. And see, I understand your argument, but I don't like those arguments when it's like, oh, y'all wouldn't walk off y'all job. Again, to me, that goes back into deflection. We know that the NFL, the National Football League, is on an international stage, okay? When you look at the economic, you're an economist. When you look at where black people are at income-wise, we know that we are at the bottom, right? The average black household has like, what is it, $1,400 worth of wealth, something like that, somewhere between $1,400 and maybe $5,000, and the average white family has $100,000 in wealth. Even the poor white folks, okay?
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, when you look at a country where it's set up like that, on the caste system, let's keep it funky. On the caste system, okay, and the people who are at the top economically, who are making the income, and who have the national stage, see, these people have a reach that the average person wouldn't have. I can put something on Twitter, and a damn, Colin Kaepernick will say, that's just the name that came to me, or the Beast Mode dude or whoever. They can put something on Twitter. Who's going to get the most attention?
Mm-hmm.
Who are most people going to know about?
The players.
Who are most people going to be able to galvanize behind? Not me.
Yeah,
So when you have these brothers on this national stage, let's not get away from that. Because you can't make that same comparison. You just can't.
Yeah, because
they have more of the finances and resources, and they have more of the reach. And they are the ones who are the majority. They're not the minority. They're the majority in the NFL.
Yeah, the players actually have power to where the average everyday worker doesn't have any power. But these players actually have power. Like,
right.
Yeah.
They're on contracts on top of that.
But I thought this.
They're on contracts.
We're talking about psychology, right? Are we talking about psychology? Right? This is Psychology Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about everything.
It's called psychosis. It's a thing called psychosis. Like, it's a picture I got from Sankofa Festival. It shows a young girl and a young boy, and they're impoverished, and they're standing at a gate. One side of the gate is closed, the other side is wide open. And all they would have to do is slide to the left, and they'd be out of there. But their mind is caught where it is, because white supremacism is systemic. White supremacism is a serious issue. I don't respect racists at all. I totally agree with you in this aspect. But it's not a deflection. It's a realization that we got people in these positions that we think, because of their status and the money that they make, they have all this knowledge and wherewithal. They do not. They are isolated. They're not around their peers. They don't have a scope of what the black climate is like, black climate in America, and they don't understand that. They do not understand that 70% of them could walk, create their own Commonwealth Bank with their own security bond, because somebody like me who happens to be black knows how to do it, and they can have their own private bank and fund their own institution. They will be able to get funding from abroad because they are the players of the NFL. They do not understand that. They don't know that. Them NFL players or NBA players, just because they got money don't mean they're privileged. One of my best friends is Derrick Rose. I went to school with his brother. Derrick Rose can barely read. He barely reads. His brother signed his contract.
I could believe that. He only played 1 year in college,
Yeah,
right?
Consul, yeah, y'all sound low. You and I, y'all sound real low.
I don't know. It might be my connection. I don't know. I'm sorry.
You sound better now.
You sound better. You sound a little better, Consul.
No problem. No, I'm not disagreeing with you, though, Renee. I'm not. You're hitting some key points. I'm just saying the psychology of these players is not where you think they at. They're not. They're not where you think they at. I'm sorry. They're not responsible like that.
But see, I disagree with that.
They need to be put in check. We need to put them in check. We need to put them players in check and say, man, get up out of there. Get up out of there. You still putting that helmet on. You took a knee, but then you turned around and put the helmet on.
I agree with that
the
part.
commercials still came on. People still pay for them commercial slots. Everything's still going. NFL is an advertising company. They just happen to sell football. They sell football. They make their money off commercials and sponsorship and ticket sales. It ain't just about playing football. So you hit them where it hurts. You hit them in the economic core. All the stars, all the players need to walk out. They can pull the same sponsorship on their own. Well, I'm going to take a knee on the white man football field. I'm going to take a knee on the white man in the white man uniform and go throw his football after I took my little knee for 3 seconds. That don't make sense to me.
Well, let me say this. I agree that like we can or we should put pressure on in terms of not supporting it. You know what I mean? Like they would know, like, dang, black people ain't checking for us. Black people ain't holding us down in the NFL because they want to promote us having our own league. But the thing is that I disagree with you about is saying that they're isolated and they don't know this. And I totally disagree. And the reason why I totally disagree, I'm not saying that there are not some people within the NFL who maybe can't read or maybe can't whatever. Okay, but a lot of these brothers did go to college. I know that they probably had work and stuff done for them and things of that nature. But a lot of these brothers, they know what's going on. At the end of the day, they're black men. Okay? Most of them came from the quote-unquote hood. Most of them grew up in conditions where black people were being brutalized or targeted by the police. Most of them have brothers or cousins or uncles or fathers or whoever who have gone through whatever with police, who have been locked up. Not saying that they didn't commit a crime or whatever, but I'm just saying they know. It's no way that no black man in America, especially in that position, have no clue about the police brutality that black people face all across this country. No clue about the unarmed black men, women, and children who are being gunned down. And no clue about mass incarceration of black men. I can't buy that. I can't buy it. And then, hold on, let me just say this. And the thing is, when these brothers are on the field, oh yeah, woo, you know, they making plays, they making whatever, they touchdowns and everything, and it's all good for the white folks. The white folks love them. They love them. But guess what? When they be out that field and people don't know who they are, oh hell no. You look at all of the football players who have been stopped, harassed by police. The brother not too long ago in Vegas. What happened with him? The police targeted him. This man didn't do nothing. You look even, and this wasn't a police shooting, but you look even at the brother Joe McKnight, who was a former Jets player, who was killed in the road rage incident in Louisiana, and it took them, 2 days to arrest the white dude? They let him go home from the crime scene where he took a gun out and killed that man, and he didn't have no weapon. These brothers know what's going on. They experience this stuff. They're not immune from it.
Number one, that's not the majority. Number two, you got to understand that systemic white supremacy in its systemic form created a career called NFL. Black men went through hell. They got a quality education based on their ability to catch a football. They were manipulated to catch a football and not read that book. They are then put in a position.
They don't have to read that book, Kansu. I'm talking about their experiences.
Queen, can I dialogue with you? Am I able to dialogue with you? I don't disavow any of the occurrences that you're speaking of. This is Psychology Monday. That's what y'all titled it. I'm telling you the psychosis of a black man who don't have a chance to succeed in nothing else. He's either labeled a criminal, he's either labeled a deadbeat dad, but he can surely catch a football better than most people. He's gifted, as a matter of fact. So now it's a platform created for the so-called degenerate black man because of the psychological systemic white supremacy system. So when this black man can finally be called excellent at something, he's going to be devoted to it. And in order to invoke that devotion, you pay him what he would have never made anywhere else. Because all black people, especially men, cannot be doctors and lawyers. They can't be all the high-paying positions. So all this man got to do is catch a football or throw it or tackle somebody. And he lives the upper 3% of society. You got to be able to condition him systemically and historically that he can generate his own revenue. These men are not thinking on that level. They're not thinking the way Dr. Francis Plus Wellesley and Bobby E. White spoke of. They don't have that mind because they have a self-deceiving, systemic white mind. Because the white people are telling them they're of value. It has nothing to do with them, with something laying blame on them. I don't lay blame on them. I look at the white supremacists that do it. I'm saying that us as a community need to reach out to them and hold them accountable for being privileged to say, take your commonwealth elsewhere. Create a Negro League like it was back in the day. The last person in sports that I've seen, in my opinion, humbly, that even attempted this was Muhammad Ali. He walked away from the Boxing Federation and raised his own money and went to Africa and fought his fight. Because he was not going to the military. So no, I'm not going. I'm a Muslim and I don't believe in taking me to jail, strip me of my title. I'm not going. And he did it. So if these other players follow that spirit of that, these players are gifted. Trust me, I'm an economist talking about business. If they were an independent league, they would change the world overnight. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is a billionaire, but don't have a billionaire mindset. Because he can change all that. He can say, look, I'll sponsor the NFL. Y'all get up out of here. We start our own league if you wanted to. Ice Cube just did it this year with the 3-on-3 league. So you can do it. It's not like you can't do it, Queen. I'm not saying that. But I want to know that me, as a person that loves football, I want my players to go and have their own league. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it can't be done. It can be done. I'm not going to sit here and say that every player is evading their nationalist right as a black nationalist. Because if you're going against the American flag, you claim to be a black nationalist. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't agree with the American flag either. But I do agree with the ability to take care of myself. I generate wealth. I'm not special, but I generate wealth. So I want the players to get up out of there. That's all I'm saying. One minute they were talking about Colin Kaepernick because he's light skinned. He ain't black enough. Now it's, well, okay, we're going to take a knee now. Now they're not taking ain't nobody taking enough knee. I guess the knee is going to shut the NFL down. It's not. The knees is not shutting the NFL. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But I use the floor, man. This is y'all show. I'm just voicing my opinion.
I mean, what you just was saying to me is a total cop-out. And if we're going to talk about psychology, which we are talking about psychology, in my opinion, and it was a cop-out in my opinion. For some it may not be, but to me it was a cop-out. Because if we're talking about the psychology of our people in terms of this, my opinion is that it's not that these brothers are so unaware and they're so, oh, I don't know what's going on. I just play football and I don't see nothing else. It's that they're scared. It's fear, in my opinion. It's fear that prevents them from doing certain things they know could be more productive in terms of the collective. It's fear that keeps them off of racial code. It's fear, and it's also, brainwashing and those type of things, and this is what white supremacy does. We understand that. However, I totally disagree that they are so far removed, from all of what's going on in the poor black communities or in the hoods or whatever, just in society across the board when it comes to black people. I totally don't buy that they're so far removed that they don't really have a clear idea about it. I absolutely believe they do. And these people have been, most of them come from inner city communities, and they may have played football and this is their career and this is what they do. They're not open to people learning like what's going on. And although they worked hard and everything to get into the NFL, they still wasn't playing football 24/7, 365. Okay? And in terms of them just driving down the street trying to get to practice, they can have an encounter with the police that leaves them dead, or that leaves them getting locked up, or whatever the case may be. Like I said, they have family members, they have friends, they have communities that they come from where they know what's going on, where they know what the deal is. And then even in terms of these stories that have went viral, like Freddie Gray and, you know, Mike Brown and things of that nature, it's good to know about that. And you will hear and see some of them who may come out and allude to something, but they're only going to go but so far. And they're only going to go but so far, not because they don't know any better, but because they are frightened. They are scared. That's exactly why Jerry Jones could say what he said and get a lot of them black men to fall in line, because they scared. And they like, damn, well, you know what I'm saying, I ain't going to go up against him. Oh, no, I'm just, you know, well, fine, then I'll just stand up. Mind you, none of that has to do with their craft. The national anthem has nothing to do with how many yards this running back can get, or how many people this person can block. It has nothing to do with their athletic ability whatsoever. But this is being made the centerpiece because, again, they have a problem with black people or black men standing up for black men and black people's issues. That's all it boils down to. And these brothers in the NFL, they are intelligent to know what's going on. They have experienced it. They've lived their whole life as black men. Okay? I cannot buy it. I cannot buy it that they are unaware. You can't be unaware. Unless you're living under a damn rock, literally, you cannot be unaware of what's going on with black people.
It is a term. If you're going to use the term, Queen, respectfully, you know, you my people, so this ain't an argument here. Respectfully, if you're going to use the term psychology, then use words that are terminal with the subject matter. You're talking about cognitive dissonance. Because you can be intelligent and still be dissonant.
Okay, and the psychological, is it not?
If we're speaking of, yes, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. They do not have the ability to have cognitive thoughts that give them the cognate of their action. Their actions are not cognitive to what you say they're intelligent of.
We're talking about fear.
If Jerry Jones is one guy, right? We know it's fear. But guess what? I know I do business with racist devils. You feel me? I do it with them every day. But realistically, what am I going to do about it? Empower my people so we don't have to deal with them cats. But at this day and time, you got to come with a solution to the NFL player or the NBA player or the national soccer player, because that's where we thrive at as black people, baseball and all this other stuff. You got to come with a solution, a replacement for that, because of that doggone money. It ain't got nothing to do with anything else. If you never made $1 million,
so which one is it?
To throw it away. I'm asking a simple question, Queen. If we never made $1 million, how can we ask somebody that does to throw it away?
But see, again, this is where you go into integrity. And see, this is one of the problems, and that's what's on the. Wait, hold on. That's what's on the one of the things on the flyer is racial code. Okay, so you have people, you have schools, and you have other white folks and things, and Asians or whatever. And I'm not trying to make this big clear, but just to try to better illustrate my point. And you have them who are willing. They're willing to sacrifice for the bigger picture for their race. And they get on behind that. Because ultimately, their whole point for white folk especially is to uphold white supremacy. But see, for us, it's an individual mindset. It's about what I can get. It's about what I have. Versus saying, let me get on racial code, because they annihilating our people out here. They killing our people. We talk about the youth coming. What's going to happen? It's already 1 in 3 black men who will be incarcerated at some point in his life. I mean, I'm a black man. I play football. I got some means. What we going to do? Right? So, to me, you know, and not to discount anything that you're saying, but I just see that in a totally different perspective. And to me, it all comes back to fear, and it comes back to not being on racial code.
I definitely understand you. I think you're speaking polarized, because I'm not in opposition to nothing that you're saying. I'm only speaking to the subject matter of the NFL and those are kneeling, like you spoke earlier, and the mere fact of why are they choosing to kneel instead of just walk away, period. If you got to kneel and still put on the helmet, the NFL still makes the money, period.
But see, you come up with
this. When you step on that field, the NFL gets paid. as soon as you walk on the field with the uniform. The uniform belongs to the NFL. NFL has franchises called teams. Franchises pay into a pool. That pool goes into a percentage of the NFL. Who provides that pool? Usually the city that backs it. It's a tax-based organization that built that stadium that the team's playing. This is an economic situation. This ain't just a player situation. This is the economics of the city. Don't you know that the city revenue goes into building the stadium? Multi-million-dollar stadium. That's a taxpayer's dollar to do that. So if the NFL players were cognizant of that, then they would make an economic stand. I'm not only kneeling, bro. I'm walking out. I'm gonna show this.
See, you making this. See, to me, you making this something else, and you talking out of all these different sides. It's like you all over the place with what you're saying. Because first you're saying that, oh, they're so isolated, and it's because they're unaware, and because this and that. But then it's about, oh, just because of the economics. I mean, look, all of that to me, at the end of the day, they're excuses for lack of willingness to stand up. They know what's going on. They know that a lot of these brothers know about the Negro Leagues, okay? I'm not saying everybody does, because they surely don't. But some of them do. Don't think that, you mean to tell me that we sitting up here having these conversations and can talk about black people starting their own leagues. Ain't none of us know that on NFL players. You mean to tell me that these brothers who are having conversations with other people and friends and families throughout their life, that they didn't never talk about starting their own league, or that black players should? Come on. I know that's an assumption I'm making, but that only would make sense. I mean, let's be real, okay? So I cannot buy that there is such
cognitive. That's why I said I didn't say ignorance. I said cognitive dissonance. They're not ignoring it. That would be ignorant. That's the root word, ignorant, to ignore. I said cognitive dissonance. Cognitive meaning they're aware of it, and dissonance meaning they're choosing not to deal with it because of the systematic oppression of wanting to be safe.
But you said they're isolated.
We don't understand. Black folks don't. They are isolated because they're in an isolated environment.
So, right, but when you're talking about cognitive dissonance, that's a choice to ignore it. Right? You're aware of it. You just say you're aware of it, but you ignore it. But you're saying they're isolated. So which one is it?
Because it's both. Because what I meant isolate, you're taking it out of context. When I'm talking about isolated, it speaks to the fact when Brother Psychopathia spoke of 70%, and you spoke of 70% of the NFL is employed by black men. Well, that income ratio per capita is not reflective to the rest of the black men in America. So they're in an isolated state based on their income per capita. That's what I'm talking about. The average black man don't make $1 million contract. Average football player sitting on the bench making $200,000. He making what the president is listed as making on the bench. The average black man, he's successful when he makes $50,000 a year. They make $50,000 a week. That's a totally different. That's an isolated black man. That ain't the black man that's gonna speak to me or any black man on this show. He's not relative to that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm gonna just say this. I don't know if you meant it that way or whatever the case may be, but when you spoke, I took it as you saying that they're isolated from not knowing what's going on because they're so into playing football and that's their life, and they're kept away from a lot of things of that nature. So
in some ways,
I took it in that way, and what I'm saying is they're not isolated from what's going on in the hood.
Anybody can go trial for an NFL team. You talking like
no, I'm not.
Just put their gear on. Okay, so how many black men you think trial for the NFL, and how many you think make?
What does that have to do with anything? I think that says you have a better chance of being struck by lightning.
Okay, that's the case. That puts you in another paradox when it comes to the struggle of the black man in this white supremacist society. Because we can't fight with dollars. We ain't got none. And make it worse, 3 generations before us ain't had it. 5 generations, 500 years we ain't had no money. And here comes somebody with say, here, Negro, here go 100,000 niggas. Matter of fact, we like you. I like the way you jumped up, monkey, like a monkey and caught that football. Here's another $3 million. You can't fathom that. I teach economics every day. You can't fathom what $1 million does to you. We never experienced it. Nobody gave you that. How many black people get inheritable wealth in spite of servile wealth? Dr. Claude Anderson talks of it all the time.
So the answer is, well, as long as they're getting paid, it's whatever.
No, that's not the answer.
Oh, okay.
That's not the
Because
answer. People like yourself, myself, we need to galvanize by speaking directly to them brothers and telling them what's up. This is why we don't support.
They know what's up.
This is why we not watching you play. You not understanding what I'm saying? You know
They know what's up.
It's not. They don't.
And I don't disagree with the black collective. You know what I'm saying? Putting pressure or speaking to that. I'm not against that. But I'm just saying, like, to me, you just talking out of both sides. It's
No,
like I'm not. In my opinion.
I just did a show. You could go to my channel and see it documented. 96% of the family, the tragedy in St. Louis, where that young brother was wrongfully gunned down, they all settled out of court. They didn't take it to a precedent where it could have been set, a precedent set in Supreme Court. They settled out of court. Now, you your daughter gets raped and hung from a cell like Sandra Bland. They family settled for a cash payment to never talk about it again.
Okay.
Now, what does that tell you? That's called economics.
And it tells you that right. And when you have an oppressed,
are you telling me that family didn't know they were supposed to take that to Supreme Court to create case law?
In some of those situations, no, they didn't. In some of those situations, no, they didn't. Hold on, let me give you an example. Look at Laquan McDonald's family. That boy had been a ward of the state. His family had all kind of issues with drug abuse, with mental illness, with everything under the sun. And that corruption went all the way up to the mayor, okay? And so what they did to try to keep it further quiet is to bring in the family, pay them on the low, and shut them down. You notice they could never come out and say anything. And these are people who did not have, now in that case for sure, to me, they didn't have the ability to know I'm supposed to go to Supreme Court and make case law. Okay? These are people, and this is one of the things they prey upon, this is one of the reasons they prey upon our community. Because they understand that at the end of the day, these people are strapped economically, and even if the police does something that they shouldn't do, which they do it all day, every day, they know we can pay them a few $1 million. We have an insurance and in our fund, it's not going to hurt us. We got a few $1 million of taxpayer money anyway that we can pay out to these people, and they'll shut up and move along. But see, to me, you're moving the goalpost. It's a difference, in my opinion, than talking about a family who lost a black person to violence, okay, like I said, a Laquan McDonald situation or what have you, versus these professional athletes who are playing a game and who are receiving a salary while they're on contract. Okay, to me, those are two different things, and you're conflating that. You're putting them together. These black men should know better than anybody, that they're seen as monkeys, like you said, that they're seen as niggers, that they're seen as, when you on that field, run up and down that field, but after that, you a nigger, you better stay in your place. They know this. I'm not going to give them a pass for being ignorant to it. I'm just not.
I think Consul dropped something. He said he's not on anymore.
Knowledge?
Yeah, let's see if this brother E right here.
Hey, the Knowledge.
Peace.
Biggs, what's going on, brother E?
Yes, I was listening to the conversation with you and Consul. And it's very intriguing that, it's hard for most people to really, either they know or not, to stand on something and just accept everything just laid out. I mean, if everything is based on economics, one of the things we should know is that our people should say, these are the areas we should probably really look into fix. Because if anybody give me $1,000 or more just to sell out, and I sit there and become my condition, I do, that's a problem in itself. money just to, you know, if some people like what has happened, like, you know, the Trayvon Martin, the Tamir Rice, all that stuff. And my people really got to really understand this and they'll say how to really fight and really seriously take at it in droves numbers. Then obviously you're going to push the enemy against the wall. You know what I'm saying? And they know some people not have no inclination to fight hate because we sit there, we know that we're no good, and we're waiting for some spiritual being to save us. Because by default, most of people say, why waste time fighting? There is consequences. I'd rather leave it to the Almighty, this white Jesus, to fix everything. That's a defeatist mentality. And the religion plays a part of it, and there are other things that play a part because our mental illness that as quick as we have not made it, this is how we're going to correct that, because if you're still carrying mental illness for the last couple hundred years, that's another thing we have to look at. So there's a lot of things that really we have to look at as people, you know. All those football players, basketball players, if you look at on the average, some of them that are a little bit aware, and Renee, you know most of them are aware, because you see a lot of them, they gravitate to this so-called conscious shit. You think now they will start make that direction, but you don't see not one inclination at all. So it tells me that either they choose to or they do not choose to. It's one way or the other. You know? And that's how we look at it. Especially, you know, with Derrick Rose. I didn't know, I didn't really think it's that bad. That man's going to be 30 next year. And if you can't read at this stage, that means if you do, you're going to be broke within less than 5 years. This is shameful. Very disgusting. You can't be talented in one area and your mind is completely not a part. This system will eat your ass up a lot. And you know this is what I'm saying, knowledge. My black man doesn't really still try to...
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Show's over. I didn't expect that.
No, you know what? You know how Blog Talk does? It's probably what happened is they probably kicked the knowledge off. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know because it's 9:45 here, 10:45 where you at. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he always does a show for at least 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours.
Then you get the overtime. And then you get the overtime, so yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. That's something they did. That was something they did for sure.
Right. You know.
But yeah, this was a good conversation with Consul. Peace to Consul. You know, I love to, you know, debate and go back and forth about ideals. Ideals and things. I enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting back and forth. You know, Consul always brings a different aspect to everything. I actually agreed with a lot of what he was saying, though. Oddly enough, like I some of it. I think I spoke on this before, and I said in order for I would love to see us start our own leagues and everything else, and to get out and you know, pretty much cut the NFL's throat. It's a difficult task to pull without, because you already know everybody's not going to be on code. Being realistic, everybody's not going to be on code with it. It's going, if you don't get the big superstars to jump on board, you're going to be fighting a huge uphill climb. That's going to probably, again, whoever you get to be the owners of these teams, you have to have them understand, and they have to be in the mind state that and prepared to take 10 years, at least 10 years worth of L's, give or take. But I'm estimating at least 10 years worth of L's as far as like not making a profit. Like I wouldn't expect, like if you're going to present to me a presentation of starting up a new league, and if you're telling me that I'm going to turn a profit within 2 or 3 years, I'm not going to really believe you. I'm going to pretty much look at you like, you know, you wishing on the dream, because realistically you're going to take a lot of L's, because you got a lot of obstacles in your way. Because the NFL, first of all, the NFL ain't going to just lay down and just watch motherfuckers just start up a new league without throwing all types of shit in the game. And yeah, they got political power, as you can see. They have political power, so that's enough to get things done. To throw monkey riches up in people's programs, make it real hard for people to do business. You understand? So you gotta be prepared to deal with all that. You gotta be prepared to hit up a lot of courts because they're gonna be suing you. They're gonna be suing. They're gonna be suing the players for breach of contracts. It's gonna be all like it's gonna be ugly. And again, you're gonna have to be prepared. At least 10 years worth of L's before you see a profit, and that's a long time to tell somebody that they're gonna be just losing money for that amount of time until 10 years later. It's, you know, billionaires and millionaires. I'll just say millionaires because that's what we're going to be pretty much dealing with a lot is millionaires, and millionaires ain't trying to hear that. Billionaires really ain't trying to hear that. You understand? Like, these people got money for a reason because, you know, they loose at spending it on frivolous stuff. But if you tell them something like this, something like as far as like something that's supposed to be projected to make X amount of money and everything else, you telling them that they gotta wait before they start seeing this money 10 years, that's going to turn them off. So yeah, it's rough. I would love to see it happen. Do not get it twisted. I would love to see it happen. I would love to see all the players just all get together in unison and just tell the league to go fuck themselves. And just all of them, all 70% of the NFL, like I said, just start sitting down, turn their backs to the flag, everything else. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to sit down to 70% of the players. They'll miss games. They won't be able to play the game. And then they really losing money. So they can't sit everybody down. Like when Jerry Jones made that little comment, whoever sits down for the national anthem ain't playing. Well, what if all his black players sit down? Then what you going to do? You're just going to be out there with an all-white team. Most of them going to be third stringers. You know, understand what I'm saying? You're going to get your ass cracked. And they should have challenged him. They should have challenged him and tested his patriotism. You know, put his patriotism to the test. Let's see if he's just blowing smoke out his ass. Is he really going to bench the whole anybody who sits down? Then they all should have sat down. Like, but they not going to do that because they're not going to threaten their position in white supremacy. They not willing to do that.
Yeah, Knowledge said that yeah, of course they cut the show off, and he said that's been happening to him now at least twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was like, yeah, y'all was putting that work in, and they cut it off. That's how they do. Yeah. And that's exactly how they do.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just think that it's still like a really good, you know, a really good conversation to have. Okay. I think it's still a really good conversation to have because it does have so many layers to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a simple thing, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, of course, I'm not saying that because these people have money that you know, means they can just do the whole world. You know what I mean? Because there's people who got way more money, like you said, the billionaires and all of that. Black people... I want to get this guy, I've said this before, but I want to get this brother named Tone. Antonio Moore is his name. But he has a channel on YouTube called Tone Talk. If y'all have not subscribed to that or check the channel out, of course, make sure that you're subscribed to Psychopathias, okay? Already. But if you're also looking for another channel where you can hear things as far as like economically and finances, that's his specialty. He's a lawyer, but he mainly deals with money. Check that brother out, Tone Talk. And this brother, when I tell you, he deals with data. He deals with facts. And he brings it hard. You know what he's doing. He's totally for the black community, all of the above. But, you know, he breaks down a lot of this stuff. So even when we talk about these millionaires, these football players, black football players who are millionaires, that ain't nothing compared to, you know what I'm saying, what's really out there. And those, you know, the powers that be or whatever. And they have a lot of times infinite resources. You know what I'm saying? They can buy you out. They can sue you till you don't have nothing left. They can do a lot of different things. So, mind you, I'm not ignorant to that. I'm not, you know what I'm saying, ignoring that or whatever. But I'm just saying that I think there's more that could be done, and who better to do it in terms of black men are the most affected by this police brutality. Well, our whole community, you know what I'm saying, because it affects everybody, and they locking the sisters up too. But in terms of, you know, a lot of what's going on, black men are the most affected by police brutality and police harassment, etc. And then these brothers, like I said, are in a league that's overwhelmingly black. Like, what better, to me, what better situation or what better group of people to stand up?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's like, damn, not even these brothers gonna take you to the next level, and they done set up and called y'all mama bitches. The president of the damn United States of America called y'all sons of bitches. He said he would fire you.
Yeah.
He said he would get rid of all of y'all.
Yeah.
And to me, that makes those brothers in our community, I'm going to just keep it funky, that makes us look so low.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even talking about just other races and groups of people around the world, because they don't think what they think about black folk anyway, but in terms of even within our own community, it makes us look weak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That makes us look like some straight up punks, just weak. And this man can sit up and say what he said, and all these Negroes go on Sunday and go right on that field, and most of them are standing up.
Yep.
That's a metaphor for the larger issue in the black community. You know what I'm saying? It's a metaphor. It is an example of all of the other problems that are going on that people don't really want to address. And when you look at the white people's comments and things, when you like go to different websites, news websites, or you go on different videos that are talking about this issue, and they get a lot of traffic from white people, and you go and read their comments, it's like how could any black person who can at least read and halfway comprehend, how could you not see what's going on? You know what I'm saying? The white folks be in there talking about, they should be thankful. They should be glad that they're over here able to do what they're doing. Huh? We should be glad. We should be bowing down to you. Because, otherwise we'd be in the jungle. This is stuff these people say, y'all.
Yeah. That's the attitude they have.
Oh, they're prima donnas. Okay, this is what they call them. Oh, they think they can do whatever they want to.
Ungrateful niggers.
They're unpatriotic.
Ungrateful niggers. That's what they call them.
Fact. Ungrateful niggas. You ungrateful bastards. Who do you think you are? This is what they say. So who do they think they are?
Mm-hmm. Yep, but
we're the ones going. And then they were saying white people don't. I think a ton of comments. White people don't watch the game. Don't go to the game. Let them suffer.
Right. And Council was absolutely right on another thing he said that he brought up that I mentioned before about informing people that the NFL actually in 2009 signed a contract with the military services, all of them, and that they would, you know, heavily promote the propaganda for the United States services. Like, you know, like they have a whole week that they dedicate just to the veterans and everything else. You know, like again, if this was a normal year for me, I would be at these games. Like I attend a lot of these games in my life, and I've been to these a lot of these, you know, little pro propaganda Veteran Day games and everything, or weeks, whatever they have, where the players wear little army fatigues and like on the cleats, excuse me, and like they little wristbands or whatever, have like army fatigues and everything. And then they have this big special halftime show where they have all these military people come out that fought for the services and everything else. Put them all on the Teletron. Big show. The whole big show. Understand? And
right.
And that they paid the NFL for all this. Like, yeah, some of your tax dollars is going to the NFL, believe it or not. Some of your tax dollars that's supposed to go to the military is actually going to the NFL for the NFL to promote the military. The NFL's not even doing it out the kindness of their heart. They're not even doing it because they patriotic. No, they doing it because they getting your tax dollars to do it. That's why they doing it. So, like, that's why I said, like, this whole little fake patriotism that's floating around, these little wannabe Minutemen, these bootleg Paul Revere's, I'm through with these people. I'm through with all these people. They disrespect that flag every time they go out there. They disrespect that flag. They don't follow any of the proper codes, flag codes that you go look at and look up. People be out there wearing the flag and everything else. That's completely disrespecting the flag. Holding the flag parallel to the ground. That's disrespectful to the flag, and that's all the NFL does every single week. Like it's a complete joke. And it's like I said, it's fake patriotism. I really can care less about these Europeans' feelings. Like
outrage.
Yeah, exactly. I really can care less about these Europeans' feelings. Like, take that shit up. Say that shit for fucking the 4th of July. Say that shit for 9/11. I really don't care. It's fake outrage. I'm over it.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. It's like, like you was saying, oh, the flag. Y'all don't give a damn about no flag. I don't care about no flag. Only thing you're doing is because you don't want black folks to never, ever stand up for nothing. You want black people to sit there and grin and bear it. You want to be able to do whatever you want to us. You want to be able to crap all over us, and we just still sit there and smile. It's a new day, black folks. And we got to get up out of that, man. We got to get up out of that. That whole thing of tap dance and trying to appease white people and make sure that they're okay. Hell no. Anything that we do that will be productive for our community, they're going to say it's anti-white. They're going to say it's something wrong with it. It's an attack on patriotism. It's an attack on America. It's all these negative things. They're going to come up with something, somehow, some way. You literally had this hashtag, Black Lives Matter, which grew into whatever organization that these black women created or whatever. But even with that, in terms of all of the black lives we've seen taken out by unarmed black women and children taken out by white police officers who never spent a day in jail, who never get any type of conviction or sentence or anything behind it. In fact, many of them get promoted. Okay? Now, you have all that going on then when this came about, and of course, definitely still going on now. And just by that hashtag, white people lost their damn mind. This shows you how wicked and how evil. You have a problem because people are saying Black Lives Matter, but we sitting up here getting killed and targeted by the same people whose salary we pay with our tax dollars. Are you serious?
Right.
And you have a problem with that? We know damn well that white lives matter. That's why the hell they can kill us and get away with it. We know white lives matter. That's how that white man could kill Joe McKnight and go home.
Exactly.
That's why damn George Zimmerman is doing what he's doing now. We know white lives matter. That ain't nothing that nobody has to stand up and say.
I know that's right.
But you mean to tell me just in that statement itself is so threatening? That statement is so threatening to white people, they lose their damn mind, y'all.
Yep.
This is who you dealing with. Black folk, understand that.
They always going to try to minimize your struggle. Always. Just like you said, like Black Lives Matter, that had to turn to All Lives Matter. They always going to try to minimize your struggle.
And then they say, Blue Lives Matter. But the question is, who is the biggest killer of police? And we talking about per capita, okay?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All that. Who is the one who takes out more law enforcement than anybody?
Exactly.
White people. So when you say blue lives matter, who are you saying it to, yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because if anything, black people, when I've seen and what I've experienced,
are terrified of the
black
cops.
folks straighten up, okay?
They are terrified of the cops. Most people got warrants and don't even want to deal. Don't even want the cops no within 30 feet of them. You understand
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? Like, if you kidding me, black people are not trying to get locked up. They are terrified about getting locked up, and they terrified about getting their ass kicked if they do happen to get locked up. Like black people don't want no problems with the cops. People call the cops, black people run. Like, so we gonna stop. So we gonna stop playing these little stupid games.
Thank you. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? They be trying to make it like to where the police are around and black folks just come up, yeah, what's up, and get in their face and get the hell out of here. Black folks be running like you see, running, ducking, hiding from the police. Honey, they see them lights and they hear that whoop whoop, honey, it's on and popping. They trying to get away. What did you see happen to Walter Scott? Did he fight the police officer?
Nope. He's hauling ass.
Did he go and try to attack him and be aggressive? He ran away from him.
Yep. And that's what you get most of the time. Watch the cop shows. You see the show Cops? All you see is black people hauling ass from the cops. That's all you see. They made a whole show out of black people hauling ass from the cops. You understand? Like, we're gonna stop playing these games. Like black people, these people that's gonna do this and do that to the cops. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah. We're not a threat to y'all. Like, keep it funky. It is these right-wing, conservative, militia, etc., good old boys. They the ones who are the threat to law enforcement, and they're the ones who are the biggest threat to the national internal security of the United States of America. They are. They're the ones who have these different groups and these different, the Bundy situation, you have that had a standoff, all of this stuff that these people do. Look at what happened in Las Vegas. They had this white man, whatever the case that was. You look at what happened with this church shooting yesterday or what have you, and look at who did that. It was a white man who did that. Okay? Mm-hmm. These are white people who have these, most of the time, these so-called extremists. I don't even think it's extremists. This is just who they are. But these so-called extremists, but these right-wing people who are against government, they're the ones who are attacking law enforcement.
Right.
It's not black people.
Not at all.
Why do y'all sit up and lie? And then when these people do this stuff, nobody puts them in the same category they do as black folks. So when you had the dude who used their car and ran over the white woman, they didn't call him a terrorist. He was a terrorist. That was a terrorist attack, y'all. You ain't heard nothing else about it. I know I haven't. I haven't heard nothing else about that. Nothing else about who did it, the man, whatever. I ain't heard nothing. All of that is shut down. Same thing about Las Vegas. Notice you don't hear nothing else about that. And this was supposedly the biggest mass shooting in the United States history, y'all. In the history of this country, you hear nothing else about it. And all they said was, we don't know his motive. We don't know his motive. Okay? Yeah. With the church thing that's going on. And then you look at Dylan Roof going up in the church, killing 9 black people.
Yeah, right.
So these people are the threat.
Big time threat. Shooting up their own. Like I said, man, I don't want to hear them talk. I don't want to hear them cry about Sharia law anymore. I don't want to hear about these Muslim terrorists and everything else. And I don't want to hear about any of it anymore until they deal with their white on white crime. White on white crime is terrorizing their community. It's ripping their community apart, and they need to worry about that. They need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, stop talking about terrorism, and handle your own community that white on white crime is destroying. That's what they need to do.
Ain't that what they tell us?
Yep, exactly.
Oh, okay. I was just checking because it sounds like kind of what they tell us. You know what I'm saying? Anytime we talk about something like Mike Brown, what happened with Mike Brown? Well, you guys need to deal with black on black crime.
Yep.
Huh? Wait, what? Huh? We need to deal with black on black crime. This was a police officer who killed a teenage boy who was unarmed. What does that have to do with black on black crime?
Nothing.
What are you talking about?
It's a red herring. It's a red herring. It's bullshit.
Exactly.
Like they got to stop playing with that whole black on black crime anything. And let me ask a question: when black on black crime happens, you usually hear about a black person killing somebody, right? When white on white crime happens, you hear about a white person killing massive amounts of people. Right. Like the body count when they have white on white crime, like compared to body counts, it's not even close. Like this dude up here killed 26 people at a church. You're gonna have to find 26 black people to equal that one that one white person. So when you total, I want to total up the body counts between the black people and white people, and it's staggering. It's staggering. When these people are savages. When they kill people, multitudes of people die. Massive amounts of people die. Like the body counts just rang up. It's like a horror flick. It's like an old school Jason movie where it's like 13 bodies. Like all throughout the course of an hour and a half. Like stop playing. Like what are we talking about here?
Exactly. What you 100% on point. And let's also be clear, because you know, Psycho, they love to say Chicago. Like, that's a code word. You feel me? Just because Chicago is a code word for black people. But anyway, like you were saying, okay, so you look at some of the so-called gang shootings or gang killings or whatever. Most of the time, that's what it is. There's gangs on other gangs, okay? Not to say that sometimes people don't get caught in the, you know what I'm saying, in between, or there's not innocent bystanders who have been killed. It's been babies. It's been elderly people in the community, pregnant women. Like, absolutely, I'm not denying that. I'm not, you know, trying to diminish the impact of that. But I'm just saying much of what the so-called black-on-black crime or violence in our community is direct attacks against people. Meaning, like, this dude is going to take this other dude out because of their drug money or their drug turf or whatever other beef they may have. It's not in the case of, I'm just going to take this gun and go out here and just shoot up everybody.
Yeah.
I would just take this gun and go in this school over here, and I'm going to go shoot up everybody in this school. No.
Crazy.
This is typically direct attack between gang members or between dudes in the community, like I said, whatever their beef is personally. Mm-hmm. That's typically what that's about. But when you see what these white folks do, they killing everybody. Funny babies, whoever.
Yep.
Just because they killing them. It ain't no personal beef with nobody.
Nah.
It's because they decided I'm going to go in here and kill all these people.
Like they talk about black people created the drive-by. Y'all created postal. Y'all created people going postal. You guys created you guys get so pissed off that you lost your fucking job. You don't even know what to do with yourself. Black people lose their job, they don't miss a beat. Fuck it, whatever. Hit the unemployment office, go fill out some more fucking applications. That's what the fuck we motherfucking do. You motherfuckers lose your jobs, y'all lose your mind, come back to the fucking job with a machine gun and start taking everybody the fuck out. That ain't even had nothing to do with the fucking you ass getting fired. You don't even get me started with these losers. Stop it.
Yep. That's exactly what they do, and they sit around and they talk about us like a dog. Because if y'all didn't know, y'all, one of my favorite pastimes is to go and listen and like observe like different white live streams. You know what I'm saying? Of like a lot of these different white people or whatever,
right.
And like some of these people who are, I guess, conservative, or some of these people who are whatever they are. They just white folk, okay? Because the thing that they always try to do is say, oh, these libtards, the liberals and stuff, they come up with these dumb names and all this stuff. Listen, they all in this together, the Democrats, the Republicans, or whoever. I always tell people this is my slogan. I want to put it on something. For black people in America, that's with 3 Ks, okay? There's no such thing as Democrat or Republican. There's only white supremacy, okay? That's just what it is. So what they do is they try to make these different categories. Oh, these liberals, blah, blah, blah. when they say liberals, all they're talking about is what they would more so consider nigger lovers, okay? White people who are nigger lovers or who are more passive. More passive or more covert with their white supremacy, okay? So they're all white supremacists. It's just that the liberals are more overt with it, okay? This is why you can have somebody like Clinton who locked up so many black men we can't even fathom, okay? All the while he's a Democrat and he's the first black president and all of this old kind of stuff, right? Meanwhile, he locking all these brothers up, giving them football numbers, okay, in prison. Now, so that's a covert. So the liberals, like I said, are more covert with their white supremacy, and the conservatives are more overt with their white supremacy. Okay, so that's their battle between each other. And unfortunately, a lot of black folks think that they have a place somewhere in there, and we don't have a place in there. You know, you will be used by either side. You have the Democrats who will use some of these black Democratic people and whatever. They will use them, and then the conservatives have a few sprinkled in black people that they can just push out in the forefront here and there to try to say, oh, if you are not racist, we got black people who are, conservative. So anyway, one of my pastimes, I love listening to, like, their chats and stuff like that. I love, like, the Alex Jones. I go in there sometimes, like, their chats and
them
stuff.
Losers.
I'll be rolling.
Them truthers, oh, man, them truthers, I can't take, you better than me. I can't deal with them truthers. Like, they ain't racist, but they also truthers, which makes them even extra crazy. Like, so I just, like, them motherfuckers, they gonna take me somewhere else. And Rashid up in the chat mentioned that Mobster's been doing. He said Mobster's been doing drive-bys since the 50s. Actually, it was the 20s. It was actually the 20s with Al Capone and all them. With the Tommy gun was invented. When the Tommy gun was invented, that's when the drive-by actually was created back then. So actually, you're correct.
Honey, they was doing drive-bys. What's this? The Molotov cocktails and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, yep, exactly. I mean, when the Tommy gun came out. Yeah, the Tommy gun was the first machine gun that was actually introduced to the streets. And that was back in the 20s and everything. You know, Tommy gun's the one with the little circle clip that goes right there in the front, the old school mobster guns. Yeah, that was the first machine gun that was accessible in the streets, and the mobsters had got it first. And
did they shoot well?
Well, they shot often. And it wasn't the most accurate gun in the world, but you ain't needed to be accurate because it shot out so many bullets. It was like they called it a street sweeper, so it's kind of like.
So would that be called an automatic? Is that?
Huh?
No. Is that called an automatic weapon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was automatic, and it just had the circle clip in the front. And it was the first. It was like the first. Like I said, it was the first machine gun that you can actually like purchase and everything else. And it was called the Tommy gun because the guy who invented it, Wayne, was Tommy something. Whatever, I forgot what his name was. But yeah, he invented it, and it was actually something that was used in World War I. And after World War I, they didn't have no more use for it, so they started selling it more commercial and everything else. And again, the mobsters got their hands on it first, and they started terrorizing people, and the body counts went up out in Chicago with the mobsters and everything else, because they had that whole beef with Al Capone, and he was beefing with the I think it was the Irish mob and everything else with the whole St. Valentine's Day massacre and all that crap and everything else. But yeah, the Tommy gun is when the drive-by first started.
See, violence is as American as apple pie, okay?
Right.
See, like Malcolm X in one of those speeches, I played that I love. But one of the ones, he talks about how they only start talking against violence when black people want to stand up. You feel me? It has to become about nonviolence. Right? But any other time they doing anything else, they use nothing but violence. They use violence all the time, all across the country, all across the world to impose on other people or to get what it is that they want. But whenever black people stand up, then it's all about we have to be nonviolent, right? Then all of a sudden it switches up. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I really want to do, it's so many things that I want to do. Hopefully, you know, now I'm doing better and everything like that. And, oh my gosh, I feel so much better, like, everything. But I really want to get back into doing real, like, specific targeted things. Because I want to do, and we talked about this before, we didn't really go into it how I went to, because I really want to do, like, a real breakdown about Malcolm X, but Martin Luther King Jr. Mm-hmm. And we're coming up on, you know, his birthday and things of that nature. He was a Capricorn, by the way. Woo woo. But yeah, and so what he, like his whole thing, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of people who get upset because a lot of folk like us are not worshiping Martin Luther King Jr. You feel me? We're not saying that, oh my gosh, he was this savior, or he was this whatever. Like, a lot of us don't see it in that light. And so I want to do a show kind of breaking down what it is that he did. Not taking anything away from him, because it's not intended to be disrespectful, or it's not saying that he didn't do anything, but it's just to show kind of like where things kind of went. You know what I'm saying, as related to him, as related to integration, as related to some of the legislation that happened, and he shall overcome, and Negro spiritual, and marching, and all of that. So I really want to do a thing kind of delving deep into that. And then this other one I really want to do, and y'all, I've been working on this book for like 3 years, But, you know, and not putting myself in no category, but Dr. Wellsing, I think she worked on her book for like, something like 14 years. It was a super long time. But, yeah, love her. But, yeah, it's, I've been working on this book. Basically, there's a collection of essays on different topics. But one of the things that I really, 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 really want to address and, like, do a whole thing on is the black male, the hypersexuality of the black male. That's not how I'm going to phrase it, because I'm not saying the black male in himself is hypersexual, more so the hypersexualization of black men. And this is what's been done by white supremacy. And it's just so many different things I see where white supremacy and white people sexualize the hell out of black men. It's something definitely that white men do. White men are obsessed with black men's penis. Oh man, it's so much stuff I want to get into this guy named Robert Mapplethorpe. If you have not heard of him or do not know of him, please look him up. I think there's a good documentary on him on HBO. And this is a sick bastard white man. He died of AIDS. No surprise. But he was a homosexual. And he was basically obsessed with black men's bodies. Okay? Mm-hmm. So he did this whole showcase or whatever of his art. He was this, you know, artist and world renowned, whatever the case may be. And he did this whole thing. He did like photography and I think some other things, but yeah, he was a photographer. And it was like, I want to say it got censored or something like that by Congress. But they still went on to honor him. Like they hold him in the highest esteem. Like he's in these major art galleries all around the world. And he absolutely hypersexualized the black male physique, the black male body. He was involved with doing a lot of these black men he had as these models. A lot of them got HIV and stuff. You need to look that up, look that documentary up, honey. There's so much sick stuff when you looking at, and this is not a long time ago. He died like I think he did die in the 90s, so. But yeah, you look into a lot of this stuff and you see the sickness of these people for real. So basically oh my gosh, this is the hoity-toity people at the top. And they look at the black man as some sort of object. You know what I'm saying? This is not a person. This is not a man. He's some object that they can sickly use as they see fit, the men and the women. Okay? And so it just pisses me off, like, when I see a lot of this stuff and how black men are used. You look at the Sports Illustrated, they have that issue, the naked issue or something like that, and they always have these black male athletes who are on the cover, who are all throughout the magazine with no clothes on, you know what I'm saying, holding a ball. Or like, why is that necessary? Yeah. Why does Sports Illustrated need to do an edition with all of these black men naked? For what? The body issue, that's what they call it. And of course they had Serena on there because they hypersexualize a black woman as well. And she's saying, you know, we can go back to talking about Sarah Bartman and all that happened with her and her, you know, behind. They were fascinated. And they put her in a damn museum part of her body. So yeah, this is what they do. You know what I mean? Like they hypersexualize Serena as well. But yes, I really want to delve deep into that, and I want to bring some of this information out to some people who may not be may not be aware of it. And it just goes to show how they have helped to kind of dictate a certain mindset that black men and black women are put into. Because black men can't be, they can't be people who have many facets to them. They have to be a sex god, you know what I mean? Or they have to be able to be used sexually, able to be used athletically, which also plays into the hypersexualization. They have to be able to be that, but they can't be people who protest the shooting and killing of unarmed black men, women, and children. They can't be people who are black first and concerned about their community and stand up. No, they have to be what white folk category white people put them in. So anyway, I've been running my mouth. But yeah, so I want to really delve deep into that.
Yeah, definitely. So you think about doing that for the next show?
I really would. A lot of the stuff I've already done the research on, and I'm going to try to put a link in the chat room too if y'all want to check out some of what I'm talking about. But yeah, I would like to really do a show on that. So yeah, I may work on that. If not tomorrow, for Thursday, because it's important. You feel me? Especially with this homosexual thing, all of that goes hand in hand. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because the white man and woman, they're interchangeable in terms of. It's a lot of white women who kind of aid and abet white men being homosexual, if that makes sense to you. And a lot of them know that their husbands or different men that they're with involved with. Oh, and that's the other part. I just want to say this real quick. Something that's gone on, you know, I'm sure, of course, we know for centuries, but something that's very popular now, they say especially within porn, that is this cuckold thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so basically, these white men let to see their wives or girlfriend or whatever have sex with a black man.
Yep.
Okay?
It's all part of the swinger lifestyle. It's all part of that swinger lifestyle.
But see, the interest is not in having other white men do it.
Oh no, they want a black bull. That's what they want.
Yep. They want a black bull. They want a black man who will come in there and have sex with their white wife or whatever in front of them, and then a lot of them want them to engage, you know, with them as well, and they're paying these black men to do this stuff, certain things. So y'all, it's real in the field. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of sick stuff going on out here.
Craziness. Yeah, but Yeah. You got anything else you want to say before we close out? I guess we can get ready to get out of here. We've been on for a little bit.
No, that's about it. Just thank you to everybody who's listening. I love y'all. Everybody in the chat, I love y'all. Shout out to Knowledge. Let me not give a shout out to Blog Talk. You know, they always playing games. Like, that's why, remember that other show? I'm telling you, I set this show for 120 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what the heck is going on? You know, so, y'all, we know what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of little stuff, but we still in here anyway. We still did, I think, a great show, a great conversation. Shout out to Consul.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, you know, I love debating with people. I'm going to throw it out there again. If y'all have any white folk y'all know, or any these black folk who are this different mindset or whatever, or cold or whatever you want to call it, bring them, okay? Get in touch with me and bring them.
Yeah,
because, honey, I would love to, you know what I'm saying, do some things, debate
yeah, please
with some of these people, because there's too much rhetoric out here that black folk are listening to about it.
Yeah, if y'all want to,
thank you, Michael.
If y'all want to hear me and Sister Renee argue with a bunch of coons and Europeans for about 4 hours, go make sure that you go subscribe to the Black Building. This the link's in the description. I'll be uploading it tonight. It's a conversation we all had. What was it? A few months ago? About 2 or 3 months ago. Yeah.
A few months ago.
Yeah. I actually found this old hangout that we was in, and I'm gonna be uploading it over there so you guys can hear the torture that we had to go through trying to have these real discussions with these weirdos over here. Like, but don't worry, yeah, it'll be entertaining if you like to laugh at coons and Europeans who think they know what the hell they talking about. But yeah, I want to shout out everybody out in the chat. Be sure to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see, be sure to also click that bell so you get notified. And oh yeah, be sure to hit up Renee Black Graphics on Facebook if you're looking for any designs or logos or whatever. You know, be sure to hit her up. She'll take care of you. She does excellent work, decent prices. So be sure to get at her. Once again, I want to shout out everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody for listening. Peace and black power to the family out there. We out.